Good morning, Year 9, and welcome to week 4 of the Crucible. Thought we'd start off today's lesson with a quick quiz. Okay, you don't need to write your answers down for this. They're just quick fire questions with very short or single word answers. Just to sort of get you thinking about what we know already, about what's happened and who the different characters are and what sort of people some of those characters are. Okay, so have a look at these 10 questions. Think of your answers in your head and then move on to the next screen where you'll find the answers, and hopefully you'd have got a good number of them correct. Okay, so well done everybody. Hopefully, let's say you got 7 out of the 10. I think that'll be brilliant. If you got any more than 7 out of 10, fantastic work. Well done you. That means you've really been focusing, listening and engaging with these videos, and you're carrying all of that knowledge and understanding forward, and that's brilliant. Okay, right, let's move on to today's lesson. Okay, who is Reverend Hale then? So Reverend Hale has just arrived in Salem, and his role in the Salem witch hunt and trials, his role in what happened in the village is huge. Okay, so it's important that we understand what sort of man he is when he arrives in the village of Salem. Okay, so for those of you who prefer having things read to you, let's go to the green box. So Hale is a 40-year-old man of the church who believes enthusiastically in both the existence of God and the existence of the devil and witches. Purple box. Hale believes searching for witches is like a science. It's exact and precise. Blue box. Hale believed if he could find witches and make them confess, then he could save the souls of these men and women. Lilac box. Putnam has already told us in Act 1 that Hale found a witch in Beverley, and Beverley was a town about 4 miles away from Salem. But this was based on rumour and in fact was untrue. Hale had not found a witch in Beverley. It turned out to be a lie, to be a hoax. Yellow box. Hale arrives carrying some large heavy books, and these books are a symbol of his supposed knowledge of the devil and how the devil captured people, turned them into witches and made them work for him. And then finally, in the sort of funny dusky pink coloured box, Hale is very confident in himself and his knowledge. If someone confesses to being a witch or stating that they are being controlled by a witch, he always believes them. That strong, undoubting belief in the existence of the devil and the existence of witches and his ability to find witches is really important to understand about Hale when he first arrives in Salem. Okay, so get your cup of tea, your chocolate hobnob, whatever it is that you need to settle down, because we're going to read through the next part of the play where Hale arrives and look at how Miller presents him through stage directions and through the things that he says to get an even better understanding of this character. Okay, tea and chocolate hobnob at the ready. Here we go. So, stage directions. He appears loaded down with half a dozen heavy books. Pray you, someone take these. Mr. Hale, it's good to see you again. My, they're heavy. They must be. They are weighted with authority. Well, you do come prepared. We shall need hard study if it comes to tracking down the old boy. You cannot be Rebecca Nurse. I am, sir. Do you know me? It's strange how I knew you, but I suppose you look as such a good soul should. We have all heard of your great charities in Beverley. Do you know this gentleman, Mr. Thomas Putnam, and his good wife, Anne? Putnam! I had not expected such distinguished company, sir. It does not seem to help us today, Mr. Hale. We look to you to come to our house and save our children. Your child ails too. Her soul seems flown away. She sleeps and yet she walks. She cannot eat. Cannot eat. Do you men have afflicted children? No, these are farmers. John Proctor, and he don't believe in witches. I never spoke on witches one way or the other. Will you come, Giles? No, John, I think not. I have some few queer questions of my own to ask this fellow. I've heard you to be a sensible man, Mr. Hale. I hope you'll leave some of it in Salem. Proctor goes. Hale stands embarrassed for an instant. Will you look at my daughter, sir? She has tried to leap out the window. We discovered her this morning on the high road, waving her arms as though she'd fly. Reverend Hale narrows his eyes. Tries to fly. She cannot bear to hear the Lord's name, Mr. Hale. That's a sure sign of witchcraft afloat. No. Now let me instruct you. We cannot look to superstition in this. The devil is precise. The marks of his presence are definite as stone, and I must tell you all that I shall not proceed unless you are prepared to believe me if I should find no bruise of hell upon her. It is agreed, sir. It is agreed. We will abide by your judgment. Good then. Now, sir, what were your first warning of this strangeness? Why, sir, I discovered her, and he's indicating Abigail here, pointing towards her. So I discovered her and my niece and 10 or 12 of the other girls dancing in the forest last night. You permit dancing? No, it were a secret. Mr. Paris's slave has knowledge of conjuring, sir. We cannot be sure of that, Goody Ann. I know it, sir. I sent my child. She should learn from Tituba, who murdered her sisters. Goody Ann, you sent a child to conjure up the dead? Let God blame me, not you, Rebecca. I'll not have you judging me any more. Is it a natural work to lose 7 children before they live a day? Shh! Rebecca, with great pain, turns her face away. There is a pause. 7 dead in childbirth. Aye. Her voice breaks. She looks up at him, and there is silence. Hale is impressed. Paris looks to him. He goes to his books, opens one, turns pages, then reads. All wait avidly. What book is that? What's there, sir? Hale, with a tasty love of intellectual pursuit. Here is all the invisible world, caught, defined, and calculated. In these books the devil stands stripped of all his brute disguises. Here are all your familiar spirits, your incubi and succubi, your witches that go by land, by air, and by sea, your wizards of the night and of the day. Have no fear now. We shall find him out if he has come among us, and I mean to crush him utterly if he has shown his face. Will it hurt the child, sir? I cannot tell. If she is truly in the devil's grip, we may have to rip and tear to get her free. Sorry, I think I'll go then. I am too old for this. Why, Rebecca, we may open up the boil of all our troubles today. Let us hope for that. I go to God for you, sir. Paris, with trepidation and resentment. I hope you do not mean we go to Satan here. I wish I knew. She goes out and they feel resentful of her note of moral superiority. Putnam abruptly. Come, Mr. Hale, let's get on. Sit you here. Mr. Hale, I have always wanted to ask a learned man, what signifies the reading of strange books? What books? I cannot tell. She hides them. Who does this? Martha, my wife. I have waked at night many a time and found her in a corner, reading of a book. Now, what do you make of that? Why, that's not necessarily. It discomforts me. Last night, mark this, I tried and could not say my prayers. And then she closed her book and walks out of the house, and suddenly, mark this, I could pray again. Okay, folks, so what we're going to be looking at after reading that bit of text is how does Arthur Miller create our first impressions of Reverend Hale? And we're going to do that through looking at the following 3 quotes. The first quote is a stage direction. Remember, we can recognise that stage direction because of the type of brackets that it's in there. And then the other 2 quotes are Hale's words. So the stage directions are he appears loaded down with half a dozen heavy books. And then Hale's words are they must be, they are weighted with authority, and then we shall need hard study if it comes to tracking down the old boy. Okay, so we're going to explode some quotes for the rest of the lesson. Okay, we're not going to go straight on to writing a P paragraph. We're going to really focus and explore the reasons why Miller might have used some of the words that he has here. Okay, see you on the next screen. Right, folks, can you please get your paper, your book, on your device, whatever it is that you're using to do your work, and can you put the title, First Impressions of Reverend Hale, Exploding Quotes. So pause me, write the date, write that title, and underline both, and then come back to me. Okay, so for this final activity for today, we are going to be exploding those 3 quotes very close to the entrance of Reverend Hale at this stage in Act 1. I would like you to write this first quote. He appears loaded down with half a dozen heavy books. In the centre of your page, with some space around it for you to make notes and answer my questions on. It doesn't need to be slap bang in the middle of the page, so you only do 1 on a page. You should be able to get 2 of these, possibly even 3 on the page. So leave space around it, but don't whack it straight in the middle so it's only 1 quote on a page. Pause me while you write that quote down. Around that quote, I would now like you to write your answers to the questions that I have asked here. So I've picked out 2 words. The first one is loaded, and I've asked you to think about what that word suggests. And I would like you to think about it in a way of comparing Hale's arrival in Salem with the idea of a loaded weapon. Okay, so get your imaginations working and see what you can come up with that. The other word on this screen I would like you to consider is the adjective heavy, which is used to describe the books. So question here, what is he suggesting they are heavy with? Okay, the next slide that follows this one is the support page for this particular quote. So on that page, I've answered my own questions to help you develop your understanding. It doesn't matter if what you've written is different to me. My ideas will just add more depth and perhaps an alternative suggestion to what you might write about loaded or heavy. Once you've done that, the next screen is the next quote with my questions on it, which is then followed by a support page, and then after that the final quote with my questions and then the support page. And when you have exploded those 3 quotes, that is the end of today's lesson, folks. Well done. I'll see you next time you do a Crucible video.